Good morning. Let's go back to 1975 and a film called Dog Day Afternoon. Now, Dog Day Afternoon it's a film directed by Sidney Lumet, which, in my opinion, automatically qualifies it as a must-watch. It's based on a true story. It was originally called The Boys in the Bank, the screenplay being based on a Life magazine article of that name. Now, the article told the story, the original Life magazine article, Boys in the Bank, told the story of the August 1972 bank robbery by John Wojciech and Salvatore Naturale, who robbed the Chase Manhattan Bank in Brooklyn, in America, with the intention of obtaining money for Salvatore's intended sex change. Now, they wanted about $150,000 to $200,000, but when they arrived at the bank at 3 p.m, they found that the armoured lorry that they wanted to deliver the money to their destination had already been and gone to take the money earlier at 11 o'clock in the morning. So they scraped together about $29,000 that the branch had to hand and intended to escape with that. But the police arrived before they could escape, though, so a hostage situation arose. A list of demands was issued to the police, and the situation went on for over 14 hours. They asked for a plane to fly away with the hostages who would be released unharmed where they landed. Naturel was killed, and Wojciech was arrested at the airport. Now, the reason for the robbery, as I say, was to pay for sexual reassignment surgery for Wojciech's boyfriend, who wanted to marry him. The film itself deviated from this somewhat. The characters were named Sonny Wojciech, and his friend retained the name Salvatore Sal Naturale. He was the only person to actually keep the original name from the actual events. The bank was renamed the First Brooklyn Savings Bank. Like the original events, they arrived too late, and the daily cash pickup has already been, but in the film they only scraped $1,100 in cash from the bank. A very insignificant amount, even in those days. Sonny decides to have all of the bank's travellers' checks, and he burns the register, but the smoke is seen from the outside, so police arrive. The police detective sergeant Eugene Moretti talks to Sonny on the phone in the film. Sonny says he's prepared to kill the hostages. Of course he isn't. He's lying. He's not that kind of person. The security guard has an asthma attack, so Sonny lets him go. That's the kind of person he is. Now, at the point where he's at the door, Moretti approaches tentatively, but firmly, to talk. Sonny uses a woman from the bank as a kind of shield as he approaches the door to come outside. He comes outside, they talk. Sonny gets irate and he shouts a slogan. The crowd of onlookers nearby cheers at this. Now, the film does have some comedic moments, a lot of realism, and a lot of extremely emotional action. Much of the cast was brought to the project by Al Pacino, actors he had already worked with in a lot of off-Broadway plays. Initially, Pacino grew a moustache for the role, but when he saw the first rushes, he shaved it off, and he asked for those first scenes to be reshot. Lumet let the cast ad-lib and improvise quite a reasonable amount. They'd all worked together for a long time before that, but not to go completely off script. To make it feel natural, he let the actors wear their own clothes and not to use makeup. Much of the film was set inside a bank, but instead of building a studio set for the bank, Lumet found a warehouse on the street where the crew built a bank set. This allowed long shots from a distance from the street into the bank, etc., across the bank, and transitioning between bank and streets, and the street visible from inside the bank, and that kept it all in one location. The crowd scenes had hired extras. The crowd scenes were hired extras, but also the neighbours near the set were asked if they want to appear in the film, watching through the windows. And as the filming went on, the crowd, the crowd scene grew. Even pedestrians joined in, and by the second week of filming, Lumet considered the crowd able to improvise on their own without his direction whipping it up and saying, "It's out of my hands. It's got a life of its own." It's a really, really good film. That the way that the tension builds is very, very typical Sidney Lumet excellence, I think. If you get a chance, do see it. It's really, really a worthwhile film, in my opinion. I like all of Sidney Lumet's films. I think he's just a very, very good director. Well, have a very good weekend. Have a very good Friday. We've got Storm Eunice coming through. If you survive today, good on you. Have a good weekend and rest afterwards. Dog Day Afternoon, 1975. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Goodbye.